who refuses to respect the very foundation of honest conversation. In just 38 seconds, a single comment would ignite a firestorm that left an entire studio audience gasping in disbelief. The view set was buzzing with its usual energy that morning. Studio lights blazed down on the iconic table where Whoopi Goldberg sat, ready to welcome her guest. The audience settled into their seats, unaware they were about to witness television history. Meghan Markle walked onto the stage with a smile that seemed rehearsed, waving to the crowd as she took her seat across from Whoopi. Whoopi opened with warmth, extending the kind of hospitality she had shown countless guests over the years. Welcome to The View. We're so happy to have you here today. There's been so much happening in your life, and I think our audience would love to hear your perspective on everything. Meghan crossed her legs and adjusted her posture, her expression already shifting to something more guarded. Well, Whoopi, I appreciate the invitation, though I have to say I'm a bit surprised given some of the things that have been said on this show about me in the past. The audience murmured. Whoopi maintained her composure, her decades of experience showing through. We have conversations here about public figures. That's what we do. We discuss current events and people in the news. But we always try to be fair. That's why you're here, to share your side. Fair? Meghan's voice rose slightly, a sharp edge cutting through the word. I'm not sure your version of fair matches mine, but let's continue. Whoopi nodded, choosing to move forward. Let's talk about your recent projects. Yeah, you've been involved in several ventures since stepping back from royal duties. What's been the most fulfilling for you? Meghan leaned back in her chair, a slight smirk appearing. You know what's interesting about that question, Whoopi? It assumes that what I do now should be compared to what I was doing before, as if everything needs to be measured against that specific period of my life. That's part of the problem with how the media frames everything I do. I don't think that's what I was suggesting at all, Whoopi replied calmly. I'm simply asking what you've enjoyed working on. It's a pretty straightforward question. Is it, though? Meghan countered. Because it feels like there's always an underlying narrative. People want to know if I miss it, if I regret my choices, if I think I made a mistake. Can't I just be asked about my work without all the subtext? The audience shifted uncomfortably. Whoopi took a breath, her patience evident but clearly being tested. Meghan, I asked you what's been fulfilling. There was no subtext. You're adding layers that weren't there. Meghan waved her hand dismissively. That's easy for you to say. You haven't lived my experience. You haven't had every single move scrutinized, every word twisted, every action questioned. Whoopi's expression hardened just slightly. Actually, I have. I've been in this industry for over 40 years. I've faced criticism, scrutiny, and plenty of people questioning my choices. The difference is how you handle it. Oh, here we go, Meghan said, her voice dripping with condescension. The lecture about handling criticism. Very original. The studio went quiet. Whoopi straightened in her chair. It's not a lecture. It's a fact. Everyone in the public eye deals with criticism. It's part of the territory. Meghan laughed, but there was no humor in it. You really think your experience compares to mine? You think what you've been through is the same as what I've dealt with? I think everyone's struggles are valid, Whoopi said evenly. I'm not comparing. I'm saying that public scrutiny isn't unique to you. But the level of it is, Meghan shot back. The relentlessness of it. The racial undertones of it. How you of all people should understand that. Whoopi's jaw tightened. Don't tell me what I should understand. I've fought battles you can't even imagine. And I did it without constantly reminding everyone how hard it was for me. The audience gasped audibly. Meghan's face flushed red. Excuse me? Are you seriously suggesting that I shouldn't talk about my experiences? That I should just stay quiet and take it? I'm suggesting, Whoopi said, her voice firm but controlled, that at some point, you have to move forward instead of staying stuck in victim mode. Meghan stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. Victim mode? Did you really just say that to me? Whoopi remained seated, unflinching. I did, because that's what I'm seeing. You came on this show, and from the moment you sat down, you've been defensive and accusatory. I've tried to have a genuine conversation with you, and you've turned everything into an attack. Maybe because it feels like an attack, Meghan snapped. Maybe because women like you, who've made it in this industry, forget what it's like to be on the outside. You've become part of the establishment you probably once fought against. The audience was dead silent now, every eye fixed on the unfolding confrontation. Whoopi stood slowly, her presence commanding the space. Let me tell you something. I have never forgotten where I came from or what I've been through, but I also don't use my past struggles as a shield against any and all criticism. You want respect? You earn it. You don't demand it. Meghan's voice shook with anger. I have earned it. I've been through more than you could possibly know. Then act like it, Whoopi said sharply. Act like someone who's been through something and came out stronger, not someone who needs constant validation and sympathy. Meghan pointed a finger at Whoopi, her composure completely gone. You have no right to speak to me this way. No right at all. You don't know me. You don't know what I've sacrificed. I know that you walked onto this set with an attitude, Whoopi replied. I know that you've been dismissive and rude from the start. And I know that I've given you every opportunity to have a real conversation. And you've thrown it back in my face. Because you're just like all the rest, Meghan hissed. Sitting here in your comfortable chair, judging people, acting superior. Whoopi's eyes flashed. I've earned this chair. I've worked for decades to get here. And I use this platform to have honest conversations, not to coddle people who can't handle basic questions. Meghan grabbed her purse from beside the chair. I don't have to sit here and listen to this. I don't have to be disrespected like this. No one is disrespecting you, Whoopi said, but you came here expecting special treatment, and that's not what this show is about. We treat everyone the same. We ask real questions. We have real discussions. Real discussions? Meghan's voice was shrill now. You call this a discussion? You've been attacking me since I sat down. Whoopi shook her head. I've been trying to interview you. There's a difference. Oh, but you're so wrapped up in your own narrative that you can't see it. Meghan took a step toward the edge of the stage. I see it perfectly clearly. I see a woman who's forgotten what it means to support other women. I see someone who's more interested in ratings than in having compassion. The audience murmured again, some in agreement with Whoopi, others shocked by the escalation. Whoopi crossed her arms. This has nothing to do with supporting women. This has to do with you being unable to handle a conversation that doesn't go exactly the way you want it to. You know what? Meghan turned fully toward Whoopi. You're just threatened by me. You're threatened by someone who's willing to speak truth to power, who's willing to call out injustice. Whoopi actually laughed at that, a sharp bark of disbelief. Threatened by you? Honey, I've been speaking truth to power since before you were born. Don't confuse complaining with activism. Meghan's face went scarlet. How dare you? How dare you minimize what I've done, what I stand for? I'm not minimizing anything, Whoopi said. I'm pointing out that there's a difference between actually doing the work and talking about doing the work. Between facing real challenges and creating drama. Creating drama? Meghan's voice reached a new pitch. I have faced real challenges. I have dealt with real racism, real harassment, on real threats. And I'm not denying that, Whoopi said, her tone softening slightly. But you have to understand that how you respond to those challenges matters. And right now, you're responding like someone who wants conflict, not resolution. Meghan shook her head violently. No, you don't get to psychoanalyze me. You don't get to tell me how I should respond to my own trauma. I'm not talking about trauma, Whoopi replied. I'm talking about right now, this moment, this conversation. You're being combative for no reason. I have every reason, Meghan insisted. Every single reason. You've been condescending and judgmental from the second I walked out here. Whoopi spread her hands. Show me one example. One specific thing I said that was condescending. Meghan sputtered, searching for words. Your tone, your whole demeanor, the way you've been looking at me. So you have no actual example, Whoopi said. You just feel disrespected, so therefore you are. That's not how it works. That's exactly how it works, Meghan shot back. My feelings are valid. My experience is valid. Your feelings are valid, Whoopi agreed. But that doesn't mean they're based in reality. That doesn't mean I've actually done anything wrong. Meghan grabbed her microphone and yanked it off, the wire pulling tight before disconnecting. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Whoopi remained calm, though her eyes were steely. You're walking away because you can't defend your position. You're leaving because this conversation didn't center you the way you wanted it to. I'm leaving, Meghan said, her voice shaking, because I refuse to be treated this way. I refuse to sit here and be attacked by someone who clearly has an agenda. The only agenda I have, Whoopi said firmly, is having an honest conversation. But you're not interested in that. You're interested in being right, in being the victim, in making sure everyone knows how hard you have it. Meghan pointed at Whoopi again, her hand trembling. You are a disgrace. You are a disgrace to women everywhere. You're supposed to lift each other up, not tear each other down. The audience gasped again, louder this time. Whoopi's expression went cold. I lift up women who deserve it, women who do the work, women who don't expect the world to bow down to them just because they've had a hard time. That's it, Meghan said, and turning to leave. I'm out of here. This is ridiculous. Whoopi called after her. Running away doesn't prove your point. It just proves mine. Meghan spun back around. What point? That you're bitter? That you're jealous? That you can't stand to see a younger woman get attention? Whoopi actually smiled at that, a sad, knowing smile. If that's what you need to tell yourself to feel better, go ahead. But we both know that's not what this is about. You don't know anything about me, Meghan spat. I know enough, Whoopi replied. I know that you had an opportunity here to have a real conversation, to show people who you really are beyond the headlines. And you blew it. You blew it because you couldn't get out of your own way. Meghan's eyes filled with tears, but they seemed more from rage than sadness. You're cruel. You're just cruel. I'm honest, Whoopi corrected. And sometimes honesty feels cruel when you're not used to hearing it. I hear honesty all the time, Meghan insisted. What I'm not used to is being ambushed on national television by someone who pretends to be an ally. Whoopi's patience finally snapped. I never pretended to be anything. I invited you here as a guest to have a conversation. You turned it into a fight. That's on you, not me. Everything is always on me, isn't it? Meghan said bitterly. Nothing is ever anyone else's fault. It's always Meghan. Meghan's too sensitive. Meghan's too demanding. Meghan needs to just shut up and smile. Now you're just making things up, Whoopi said. Nobody said any of that. You're arguing with ghosts. Meghan wiped at her eyes angrily. I'm arguing with you, and you've made it crystal clear what you think of me. What I think, Whoopi said slowly, deliberately, is that you have potential. You have a platform, and you have opportunities most people only dream of, but you're wasting it by staying stuck in anger and resentment. Don't tell me what I'm wasting, Meghan snapped. You have no idea what I'm doing with my platform. Then tell me, Whoopi challenged. Use this moment right now to tell me and everyone watching what you're actually doing. Not what you're against, but what you're for. Not who's hurt you, but who you're helping. Meghan opened her mouth, then closed it. She opened it again. I don't have to prove anything to you. You don't, Whoopi agreed. But you came on this show. You accepted this invitation. presumably because you had something to say. So say it. Say something real. Meghan stared at her for a long moment. The studio was so quiet you could hear the cameras whirring. Finally, she spoke, her voice low and venomous. What I have to say is that people like you are the problem. People who've made it, and then pulled the ladder up behind them. People who judge and criticize instead of understanding and supporting. Whoopi nodded slowly. Okay, so that's your message. That I'm the problem. That anyone who doesn't automatically agree with you or validate every feeling you have is the enemy. If the shoe fits, Meghan said coldly. It doesn't, Whoopi replied. But I'm not going to waste my breath trying to convince you of that. You've clearly made up your mind about me, about this show, probably about everyone who's ever questioned you. Meghan slung her purse over her shoulder. At least I stand for something. At least I'm not afraid to call out injustice when I see it. Calling out injustice is important, Whoopi said. But so is recognizing when there isn't any. So is taking responsibility for your own behavior. So is growing and learning instead of just blaming. I'm done taking advice from you, Meghan declared. I'm done with this whole thing. Whoopi spread her arms. Then go. Nobody's stopping you. But know that you're leaving because you couldn't handle a conversation that didn't worship you. You're leaving because reality didn't match your expectations. Meghan's face contorted with fury. You think you're so wise, don't you? So enlightened. But you're just mean. You're just a bully hiding behind the excuse of honesty. And you're just entitled, Whoopi fired back, hiding behind the excuse of victimhood. The word hung in the air like a bomb. Meghan went very still. When she spoke, her voice was deadly quiet. What did you just call me? Entitled, Whoopi repeated, not backing down. You act like the world owes you something. Like everyone should tiptoe around your feelings and never challenge you on anything. Meghan's hands balled into fists. I have every right to expect basic respect. You have respect, Whoopi said. What you don't have is immunity from criticism, and you can't seem to tell the difference. The difference, Meghan hissed, is that criticism is supposed to be constructive. What you're doing is destructive. You're tearing me down for your own amusement. Whoopi's voice rose. I'm not amused. I'm frustrated. Frustrated that someone with your opportunities is squandering them on petty grievances. I'm frustrated that you can't see past your own anger to actually make a real difference. I am making a difference, Meghan shouted. By doing what? Whoopi shouted back. By complaining? By playing the victim? By attacking anyone who doesn't fall in line with your narrative? Meghan took a step forward, her whole body rigid with rage. You don't get to talk to me like this. You don't get to stand there and act like you're better than me. I'm not acting like I'm better than you, Whoopi said, her voice dropping to a dangerous calm. I'm acting like someone who's had enough of your attitude, someone who's tired of watching you waste your potential on self-pity. Meghan's lip curled. My self-pity? You're one to talk. You sit here day after day, talking about your struggles, your hardships, how tough you've had it. The difference, Whoopi said icily, is that I also talk about overcoming them, about moving forward, about building something instead of just complaining about what got torn down. You don't know what I'm building, Meghan protested. Then enlighten me, Whoopi challenged again. Stop talking about what everyone else is doing wrong, and tell me what you're doing right. Meghan's jaw worked, but no words came out. Her eyes darted around the studio, at the cameras, at the audience, at the other empty chairs at the table. Now finally, she looked back at Whoopi. I don't owe you explanations. No, you don't, Whoopi agreed. But you owe yourself better than this. You owe yourself the chance to actually be the person you claim to be, instead of just talking about it. Meghan shook her head slowly. You're unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I'm real, Whoopi said. Maybe that's what's unbelievable to you. Someone being real with you instead of blowing smoke. Real? Meghan laughed harshly. You want to talk about real? Let's talk about how real it is that you're attacking me on your show. How real it is that you invited me here just to humiliate me. Whoopi's eyes widened. Humiliate you? I asked you questions. Normal, standard interview questions. You're the one who turned it into World War III. Because your questions were loaded, Meghan insisted. Every single one had an agenda. The agenda was to get to know you better, Whoopi said, exasperated. That's what interviews are for. But you're so defensive that you've turned every question into an attack. Meghan grabbed her phone from her purse. I'm calling my people. This is over. It was over the moment you decided to be hostile instead of honest, Whoopi said. You came here looking for a fight, and congratulations. You got one. Meghan stopped, phone in hand, and stared at Whoopi. I came here hoping for understanding, for compassion, for someone who would actually listen. I did listen, Whoopi said quietly. I listened to every word you said and every word you didn't say. And what I heard was someone who's hurting but won't admit it. Someone who's scared but covers it with anger. Someone who desperately wants connection but pushes everyone away. For a moment, just a flicker, something shifted in Meghan's expression. Something vulnerable and raw. But then it hardened again. Yeah, you don't know me. Maybe not, Whoopi conceded. But I know what I see. And what I see is someone standing in her own way. Meghan's voice dropped to almost a whisper. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep fighting. Then stop, Whoopi said gently. Stop fighting. Stop being defensive. Stop assuming everyone's out to get you. But the moment of softness was gone as quickly as it came. Meghan's face closed off completely. Easy for you to say. Whoopi sighed deeply. It's not easy. None of this is easy. But it's necessary if you ever want to find peace. Peace, Meghan repeated mockingly. Right. Because you're so peaceful. I'm at peace with who I am, Whoopi said. Can you say the same? The question hung between them. Meghan's expression cycled through emotions. Anger, pain, defiance, uncertainty, finally settling on cold resolve. I'm leaving now, for real this time. Okay, Whoopi said simply. Meghan seemed thrown by the lack of resistance. That's it? I'm just okay? What do you want me to say? Whoopi asked. I've said everything I can say. You're determined to leave, so leave. I'm not going to beg you to stay. I never asked you to beg, Meghan said. No, but you expected it, Whoopi observed. You expected me to chase after you, to apologize, to tell you you're right and I'm wrong. Meghan's nostrils flared. You are wrong. About what specifically? Whoopi pressed. About everything, Meghan said vaguely. About me. And about this whole situation. Whoopi shrugged. Okay, I'm wrong. You're right. You're the victim here. I'm the villain. Does that make you feel better? Don't patronize me, Meghan warned. I'm not, Whoopi said tiredly. I'm genuinely asking. If I give you what you want, if I play the role you've assigned me, will it make you feel better? Will it fix anything? Meghan stared at her. Nothing can fix this. This what? Whoopi asked. This interview? This conversation? No, or something bigger. All of it, Meghan said, her voice breaking slightly. Everything is broken, and everyone keeps telling me it's my fault. For the first time, Whoopi's expression softened completely. I never said it was your fault. I said you had a choice in how to respond. Same thing, Meghan muttered. It's not, Whoopi insisted. Not even close. You can't control what happened to you, but you can control what you do next. Meghan looked away. I'm doing the best I can. Are you? Whoopi asked, not unkindly. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're stuck. Like you're so focused on the past that you can't move into the future. Meghan's shoulders sagged slightly. You don't understand how hard it is. You're right, Whoopi agreed. I don't understand your specific experience, but I understand pain. I understand feeling like the world is against you. And I understand that at some point, and you have to decide whether you're going to let it define you or refine you. Meghan was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was small. What if I don't know how? Then you learn, Whoopi said. You ask for help. Real help, not just validation. You do the work, even when it's uncomfortable. Meghan shook her head. I've done so much work already. Maybe, Whoopi said, but there's always more to do. That's life. That's growth. Meghan looked at Whoopi, really looked at her, for what felt like the first time since the interview began. Then her face closed off again. I need to go. Whoopi nodded. Okay. This time, Meghan actually moved. She walked toward the edge of the stage, her heels clicking on the floor. The audience watched in stunned silence. She paused at the steps, turned back one last time. You know what the saddest part is? What? Whoopi asked. I actually thought this might be different, Meghan said. I actually thought you might get it. Get what? Whoopi said. Me, Meghan replied simply. Then she walked off the stage, disappearing into the wings. The sound of a door slamming echoed through the studio. Whoopi stood there for a moment, looking at the empty space where Meghan had been. The audience erupted into shocked chatter. Camera operators looked at each other uncertainly. Producers scrambled in the control room. Whoopi finally sat back down in her chair, adjusting her microphone. She looked directly into the camera.